But yeah,
All right, here we are.
here we are. Let's get started. Yeah.
I'll go first because I always make you go first. I don't mean to do that. I realized that the other day. I was like, I always ask him to go first. I'll go first.
I don't care.
I'll go first. I got the Monkeys at 10. I really wanted to put Algieri here, and I think I don't have them on my list for now. I really liked Algieri. I think Monkeys though, they were an extremely scrappy team. I think Matane also looked quite good. He was fantastic for Monkeys this week, and that team is really going to need a guy like Matane to step up the way he did, because the loss of Cash, I think, really hurts. So I don't have like a ton to say about Monkeys. I just think that they're going to be a scrappy team, and they're going to probably be moving up and down the list and probably out of top 10 in some weeks and then back in the top 10 in others, because they're going to be up and down. So yep, I got the Monks.
I also have Monkeys at 10. I like Smokes. I think he's a really good talent, and I thought he showcased that this weekend. I agree with you that Matane also looked good. I think that the big Misfits energy is staying with this team, where they tease you and they show you what can be, but you really wonder if they can take the next step. And I have a feeling I'm going to feel this way about this team for multiple regionals in the future. But I like what I see. They could move down very quickly. But yeah, I like what I saw from Monkeys. I'm kind of surprised. You said you don't have Algieri on your list?
Nope.
Who's nine? Who's 9 for you then?
My 9 is Tundra. I don't personally don't love this team. I have low key. I don't trust them. I think they kind of had. They did beat Algieri. I think they're kind of a team that's going to beat a team like Algieri, just by the way they shape. But they didn't really have the results that they had were just kind of like meh, in my opinion. They also went in their top 16 qualifier. Like they went 0-3. I know they were all game 5s. One of them was against BDS, but BDS went to game 5 with everyone. And then they went to 5 with Monkeys, and they went to 5 with Heat. But going 0-3, I just don't think that was a good start for them. They looked a lot better, obviously, this time around, but they lost to G1, I think it was, in the Swiss.
Yeah.
Again, I think that one was a game 5.
It was.
But then the teams that they beat, none of them got out of Swiss. So they did beat Algieri, who I thought was a really good team. I just want to see them do it again, because I'm hesitant to put teams that are not like
G1 smashed
flying, or like that are like newer, right?
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to put them in the list just immediately. So it was a good week for a team like Algieri, and so that was probably their best win between, I think, Guild and Sonics, just with the way Algieri was playing that day. So after that, I wasn't really impressed by the way they played K-Corp. So yeah, I don't have much to say with them. I don't love them personally.
Fair enough. Algieri is my number 9. I think they did enough on Friday to warrant getting on this list. They scrapped through closed qualifiers. They ended up dropping to Solary and Guild, which are teams preseason I would have at Algieri's level. So 3-0 sweeps don't really look the best, and all of them multi-goal game. Well, game 3 against Guild was a 1-goal game, but 2 of them were 1-goal games, but still. And then losing 0-3 to Solary in closed quals, but they clutched it out against teams that didn't qualify. And then they beat the regional winners, Oxygen, in the first round of Swiss in 5, and looked pretty good. Then they beat Monkeys, which I thought was a solid win as well. Monkeys, again, closer to Algieri's level preseason wise, but still a quality win. Then they played Moist 5, 2 of those going to OT, and I think only one beat, or the first 2 games were multi-goal games. Game 1, Moist won 2-0. but after that, they had started to figure it out. They got good late in the series, and I watched a game or two from the series, and they looked good. The Tundra series definitely hurts, and then losing to Quadrant as well. All three of those 5-game sets. But I saw enough from them on the pitch that I looked at the teams that I would have had on this list other than Algieri, and I can't justify putting Williams Resolve, Evil Geniuses, Solary, Sonics. Like, I can't put these teams on this list above them, and I certainly don't want to put them below Monkeys because they beat Monkeys in Swiss. I leaned on the result for that one, but I thought they looked good, and I think they have good chops. They might not move far from the 8 to 12 range, but I like them right here, right now.
So you don't have EG on your list?
No, I don't have Evil Geniuses on my list.
I like that, Jorby. I like that a lot. That's bold. I like that. I have EG at 8. Now, EG sucked this week. They did a lot worse than I thought they were going to do. However, I do think that they are a team that were, up until this week, going to be a team that was going to be competing, for top 5 spot, or maybe just outside of that top 5 spot. They were basically that team last season. And the idea is that Tox would probably elevate them, which to a certain degree was the case in the top 16 qualifier. This was a team that beat BDS. This was a team that beat Monkeys. They beat Sonics in the top 16 qualifier. Clearly, it fell apart in the Swiss stage of the main event. They lost to Sonics after beating them in the top 16 qualifier. They lost to Quadrant. They beat Guild 3-0, and then they lost to Liquid in Game 5. So I've technically, even though we didn't have a ranking before today, have brought EG pretty far down from where I think they initially kind of preseason I would have put them. So they are definitely trending down, but I didn't want to remove them from my list because I feel like everyone knows that EG was going to be a competitive team and certainly not out of the top 10. Not making top 8 is painful. Going 1-3 is definitely not a good look for EG, which again is why I brought them down to 8. Maybe I could go even further. I don't think they deserve to be out of the top 10 quite yet. If you want to count the previous season, if you're not counting the previous season at all, then I guess you don't have them on your list. But I do think it's a little crazy not to have EG somewhere on the list and just admit that they sucked, which is what I'm doing right now.
EG would be number 11 on my list if we went any farther. I wasn't not considering the previous season, but I was really only considering your to a very small degree, like if you didn't play at the major or the World Championship, then Spring Regional 3, but I honestly didn't consider it much. So I definitely thought Evil Geniuses losing to Sonics is not something that Evil Geniuses should be losing to. 0-3 to Quadrant, that one I wish that one had been closer. 3-0 Guild, whatever. 2-3 against Liquid, and I don't really think Liquid played that well this weekend, so it's just hard for me to justify having them on the list over performers that I did like a lot more.
Yeah, I think a lot of the weight really is on the top 16 qualifiers, though, for EG, because I mean they beat BDS, which is not an easy win. Like, regardless of what you think of BDS right now, that's a very good win, especially first time back.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Monkeys and Sonics is good.
Yeah,
so.
I don't disagree with you. Maybe I am being a little harsh, but
no, that's fine. I like that. I like that. Okay, what's your 8 then?
My 8 is unfortunately Tundra, because I couldn't find a way to put them lower, and I mean that in the most heartfelt way possible. No disrespect to any of the players. I just was not impressed by Tundra.
Same sentiment, huh?
Yeah, I really wasn't. I hope they figure out a way to improve and make me like the product on the field a little more, but right now, not so much. This feels like a team that's going to bomb out of the next regional. Does that make sense? sometimes we have teams that make top 8 and you're like, whoa, okay. But then you look at their run, and I think you talked about their run already. I mean, they didn't play anybody, and they lost to all the teams that I would consider good teams. So I don't really know how good they are. They're smack in the middle. So you get 8 because you beat Algiri. I would have had Algiri above you had they beat you, but they didn't. So
yeah, I agree with you. I'm not impressed with them, and maybe that's just a product of them not playing anyone that great. I mean, they did play G1. They did play BDS Monkeys and Heat in top 16 qualifiers. So like, there's enough little reference points there. They lost all those games though. They're just So, anyways, okay, we're on the same page on that one, at least with the sentiment.
Yeah, definitely.
So 7, I have G1. I really like G1. I really like this team. They impressed me.
Nice.
I didn't think they were going to be as good as they were. And for me, I want to see more from them. I think that it's tough that they lost, or they had to run into Oxygen. But I think that they're a really good team. And I think that they're going to continue to trend upwards on my list, which is basically what they're doing. I think this was them trending upwards. So I'm happy to put them at 7, and we'll see where they go from there. Because they had some good wins. They beat Tundra, which is like fine. They went to 5 with BDS. They beat Quadrant, and then also beat Sonics. They lost to BDS and KC in the main event, and then I think they also played Oxygen again, who they lost to in Swiss of top 16. So it's some pretty decent results, but I do think that they're going to trend upward. I really like them.
All right, I like the G1 pick. Our list's certainly going to be a little different. My 7 is Quadrant. Quadrant, I think coming in, people weren't happy with the roster. Namely, they weren't happy with the roster Cash landed on. And I felt like people were really underrating Relating Wave and EXO. And so I felt like they were going to do a little better than people were expecting. I did expect them to top 8. I don't know if I expected them to beat BDS. I didn't expect that. I thought this team was a top 8 team for sure, but I didn't think that they had it in them to beat BDS. And they did. EXO absolutely popped off in that series. I like the team, and I hope it's a good environment, but I still am seeing kind of shades, and maybe this was more due to Oxygen, but there were some key errors by Quadrant against Oxygen. I don't know what happened in that series, because they looked incredible against BDS. They're Swiss. They didn't really beat anybody in Swiss. I mean, Evil Geniuses, I guess, is their most quality victory. And then Gold Ridge Ball, top 16 qual, they lose to Sonics, they lose to G1, they lose to Liquid. So it was not an impressive top 16 qual for them. They get the job done in close quals, but still some weird losses in there, like against Endpoint and Solary, and then somehow get the match run, another 5 matches for Quadrant. So I like 7 for them right now. I don't feel like this team is consistent after what I watched from them. The top 4 is still quite the achievement. Beating BDS is no slouch, and 7 spots good for me.
I love that our lists are so different.
This might be the most different our lists have ever been.
I think we've agreed on 1 spot so far.
Yeah.
Tundra was the next closest. I mean, I have 2 teams and you have 2 teams that I don't have. That's crazy. I love it. I have things to say about Quadrant, but you're gonna have to wait. I got Liquid at 6.
Okay.
I've been talking on my stream a lot about this, so sorry, stream. I know I'm gonna repeat myself for like the 3rd time. I didn't like Liquid much. Yeah, they got the job done against some teams. They got top 8. That's great. The context of their games is what really I dislike about Liquid. And I know they don't like Swiss or whatever, so they had issues with it. But I think Liquid showed that they are vulnerable to themselves, and that I think playing in the Swiss is a little getting inside their head a little bit. I also think that for some of their matchups, they just were like very off. Like I think that they were inconsistent in their games, and I didn't like it. Now, if you look at who Liquid lost to, you're gonna say, well, they lost to the 1 and 2 teams in their Swiss. But if you look at all of their losses, they're getting swept every single time. The only time they didn't get swept was when they were in their top 8 and they lost to Moist 4-2. And so I don't like that from Liquid. It seems like if it's going well, then they're
every
winning.
loss was a sweep. Wow, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, that to me just I think they looked really bad in those series. They did not have good series there. So I don't know. They just, when you go and you look at their losses, it's like a wild ride. Some games they're winning by 5 goals, and then other games they're going to overtime. It's just like up and down for Liquid. So I'm really hard pressed to put them any higher than 6 at the moment. They finished top 8, great. I don't really trust them right now. You cannot erase what happened last season on how good they were quite yet, I think, right? Because they proved that they could be competitive with essentially the same bunch of players. Right.
Yes.
And so I think they're going to do that here. So I think they will be in competition for a major spot. But right now, I don't like the way they look. Like they look like 6 and below, not 6 and above. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's what they look like.
That is exactly how I feel about Liquid, which is why I also have them at 6. 2 placements we agree on in this list so far. But this is where it starts to get juicy. I don't have much more to say on Liquid. You said pretty much everything I would have. I'm in full agreement.
Do you want to share your 5 then and just go to that?
Sure.
Okay.
My number 5 is G1.
I love that. Oh, you're better than me. I love that. I love this team.
Dude, I was high on this team when they first got together. And I'm like, oh, come on. This is one of the rosters. Like, when some rosters form, I secretly start pulling for those rosters. I'm like, come on, I want you guys to be the new good team. Be the new good team to add to more good teams. And G1 is that team. And they were. Very exciting team to watch. Top 16 qual was really easy for them. They didn't really have to play anybody. Sonic's probably their best opponent. And then they also had a relatively easy Swiss as well. But beating Quadrant, I don't like the 0-3 against K-Corp, but you did play BDS pretty closely, and it was a close series. The thing that made me put G1 so high was their performance actually. Oh, hello?
Hey, he's back.
Hey, sorry, I had a power blip.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the light rain outside could knock out poles, but apparently it does. So here we are.
So we were just saying that we liked your points. We were agreeing because I think we both liked G1. So I wasn't really disagreeing with anything you were saying.
Yeah, they looked really, really strong, and I can't wait for more. That roster I am confident in, and I foresee them contending for the major like I felt about that way preseason. So yeah, G1.
Fair enough. I'm with you on that.
No, you're not. You put them at 7. You ain't me.
Well, no,
if you were with me, if you were with, oh, okay, well, yeah.
I was just agreeing. I was agreeing with what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
All right. Relax.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, it should come no surprise that I have Quadrant at 5. This is another team that I also really liked. I think that they took a little bit to ramp up. Their results don't scream top 5 at the moment. I know that they finished top 4. I don't think that they were a team that were in super high contention for the people who were rating teams early on in the season, but I think that they looked quite good when they got the beast going. I really liked what EXO looked like, but I think overall, I think this team's going to be more and more competitive. And it's why I rated them high. I definitely give them a lot of credit for beating BDS, which is why I pushed them up a little bit. Though I don't know if BDS really looked all that super dominant world championship type form. But let's remember that they also had 3 1-goal games against Oxygen with 2 overtimes. And aside from game 1, where it kind of got out of hand, the 4-0 doesn't really speak to how close this series was.
Yeah.
So I don't think the 4-0, I think a lot of people are going to like, well, they got smacked by Oxygen. I don't think they got smacked by Oxygen. I think they actually played Oxygen quite close. They didn't come out with any of the wins, but I do think the Solary win is fine. They should do that. The EG win is fine. They should do that. The Algiri, all those games were kind of trap games for them, and they didn't fall into the trap. They at least lost to teams that are their level or higher.
Okay. Quadrant at 5 is fine. That's fine.
All right. What's your 4?
My 4 is Oxygen. Brand spanking new team. They win their first regional out. And boy, did they look juicy. Joyous looks the best that I've seen him in a year. And that's scary. Hopefully that keeps up. And Archie is finally looking like the player that everyone tells me he is. Every time people tell me that Archie's a top 5 European player, I watched him play on all of his teams, and I said, where's the top 5 European player? Where is it? Archie says that he had a 1v3 on his team. Now, I don't know if I agree with Archie's philosophy on how to deal with playing with teammates that are worse than you, but the point is, Archie has players that he trusts now when it comes down to it, and man, they looked really good. Oli is the glue that makes this whole roster work. He played so smart all weekend and he bailed Oxygen out of like a lot of tight spots. This is an ultra aggressive team. They love to play aggressive. And Oli is the guy kind of helping that staccato rhythm of offense that they started developing, keeping teams like on their heels at every turn. I don't think I watched that dude lose. I'm pretty sure he won 80% of his challenges all weekend. It was absolutely ridiculous. This team is disgusting. I hoped they were disgusting. I hope that they can keep going. My biggest worry about this team is the thing that everybody's been saying. Can they keep doing it? Can they be consistent? Consistency was the number one question mark on this team, and one regional is not going to answer that question. That being said, all 3 players on this team are standout talents, and you knocked out you knocked out the competitors in front of you. You had a great run. You beat Liquid. You beat G1. You beat Quadrant, and then you beat K-Corp, who I didn't think K-Corp were losing. I thought K-Corp Oxygen, I was thinking K-Corp were going to win that, and then Oxygen just crushed. They crushed them. I know K-Corp started to come back at the end, but like those first few games were bad from K-Corp. But Oxygen, can they go higher? Yes. Can they go lower? Oh, absolutely. I need to wait until Regional 2 to find out.
Did you mean Oxygen?
Did I mean Oxygen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. It's a brand new roster. I give credence to teams that have stuck together. That's why Liquid are 6, because they get the resistive points for being the same team. So their past results mean more. When you're a brand new team, you have no past results. And I'm not going to overrate you off of one regional. I'm not going to put Oxygen number 1, because that's not really how I'm doing my rankings. It's not like a blank slate. There are teams that, like, there's still a world champion on this list that are still together. K-Corp only made a 33% change, not a whole new roster change. So like these are things that I'm considering when doing the rankings. So I think 4 is totally understandable for Oxygen. And if
you're saying you wouldn't want to put a team that's brand new into the top 3 quite yet.
Right. I'm not going to put you in the top 3 when you're a brand new team. That's okay. when the 3 teams above you only made 33% changes or no changes and still performed at about the same placement. If one of those top 3 teams had completely bombed out, then maybe I would have considered it, but the dominoes didn't fall that way.
Right. So you wouldn't have like KC in your top 3 then. That's a new team.
Exotic and Itachi, they played together, didn't they?
No.
All right. Everyone everyone's gonna hear this on my stream. Everyone clap and chat. Exotic was on Semper. This has been a joy being on here, so you can hear it, Corelli. So you can clap along with us. Clap along, Corelli. Clap along.
Holy shit! That was awesome. That was awesome.
Oh.
I love this list that you've created.
Oh man.
This is fucking awesome.
Oh no. I think I need to make a change. I think I need to make a change, bro. This doesn't look good.
This is
all right, I'm sneaking it. I'm putting Karmine Corp number 4. I get this. You're gonna give me this. What's your number 4, Corelli?
I'm scared to say my 4. It's not Oxygen, I'll tell you that. I'm giving you a bunch of shit here, but my number 4 it's BDS.
See, the thing is, I don't think a lot of people are gonna find that. They're not gonna feel that. God damn it, Moist beat them 2-1. My whole top side of my list is fucked, man. It's fucked. It's absolutely chalked. Really, just get your points. Say it, BDS. I can't even put Karmine Corp at 4th. I can't do this. I rescind my power ranking. 4 is just gonna be left blank. All right, you have BDS at 4. I've updated it. Go.
Yeah, I have BDS at 4. I don't think it's actually that crazy. I think my chat is going crazy. They want Moist there, but I mean, I don't know. I don't like. Yeah, Game 5 every series, but that's not a good thing. Like I don't think that's a good thing.
No, that is not a good thing.
So
that was my
I don't know if people are spamming that in my chat saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think that's a bad thing, personally. I don't think you should be going to Game 5.
BDS at 4 is wild, bro.
I think well, yes, someone just said it in my chat too. Like, I put Liquid at 6, so I think it's staying consistent in putting BDS at 4 too, because I don't think BDS looked good. And my main harp was I don't think Liquid looked all that great. Like, the context of their game wasn't that great. I also think they lost.
BDS had better results. BDS still beat K Corp in G1 in Swiss.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think they looked good though, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they're like, I don't like the way they're playing currently. I think they looked weak even though they won some of their series.
So you dropped them 3 spots because of like what? They still won their matches though. Like they didn't win against Quadrant. That one going to match point. And I can understand wanting to ding them on that. But 3 spots?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
our lists are crazy.
Yeah, I didn't like it. But see, it's not just the main event. This was something that was throughout both the qualifier and the main event that plagued them. So I think it was consistent enough for me that I didn't like it. They finished top 8. That's fine. I have them 4. That's not bad. Like, I don't think that's a bad rating.
Well, I had to stay consistent with my methodology, and as much as people might want Moist at 4, I'm gonna have Moist at 3, K Corp at 4. I do think being a brand new team is it for one regional. Like, I don't feel like I can put you above in the power rankings yet until you prove some level of consistency. Moist still made the semifinals. They still won most of the games in front of them. Algiri played literally every team they got a chance to play against close. They even beat the regional winners. So I'm not like taking the game 5 against Algiri for anything. They looked poo-poo against K-Corp, yeah, but they didn't look poo-poo pretty much anywhere else in the tournament. So while the semifinal looked bad, I don't feel like I can punish them so harshly. And I think Astral is the real deal on that team. And K-Corp, the Vatira revenge game, or if not really a revenge game, but just the I'm better than you game was a Vatira run. It was a Vatira run of the table. So I very well foresee K Corp making the major. I think they're one of the best teams. I think they can be the best team. And I don't doubt, obviously, they get another top 4, then they're going to go higher on this list. But it depends how it goes. I am going to stick with my methodology, though. And I think it's totally fair to say Moist over K Corp just for one regional's performance.
I have Moist at 3 as well. Didn't love it, but it was pretty good from Moist. I think they still have a lot to work out with Astral. I don't know if they're completely in sync with each other. There was a couple weird things happening with them that I thought they were a little. They felt almost a little slower at times, but then like the mechanics would come back out, and then they looked really good again. It was kind of like this up and down thing happening with them, but like they're so good, they're so consistent that I'm keeping them 3, or I'm not keeping them, I'm putting them at 3. I think K Corp looked really good against them though, and I think K Corp also. I'll just say, I'll save it for later. I think for Moist though, that while they finished at the top of Swiss, when they came up against K Corp, you could really see a difference in the two teams, I think. And I think some people are saying that maybe it wasn't a good series for Moist, and maybe that was true. I thought K Corp, when they got it going and they looked cohesive, that was what we worried about with K Corp, is that were they going to look cohesive? And they finally did in that semifinal, and I think they prevailed at a much higher level than they did in their previous wins. So, I put Moist at 3 for now.
Yeah. My number 2.
2 and 1.
2 and 1. So my 2 is BDS. My 1 is Oxygen.
Okay, for obvious reasons, I'm sure.
Obvious reasons for sure. BDS obviously get that number 1 placement after Worlds, but yeah, kind of piggybacking off of what you said, every single series of theirs going 5 games is not great. And then they went 7 against Quadrant, not great. I wasn't too impressed with them in their their Swiss, but I thought they actually played a good series against Quadrant. I think there were 3 shots from BDS late in the series that they should have scored, but the accuracy was off. So like it was winnable, but other than the missed nets, there wasn't really any other mistakes they were making. Quadrant played one hell of a series. I casted that series. They were all over the place, and they were stopping BDS like every single time. They just knew how to play against them. And I don't really think BDS were playing that poorly. Monkey Moon was being Monkey Moon. Extra tried every trick he had in the book. He just got red. So I don't think it was BDS looking poor in that series specifically. I think Quadrant just peaked. So still, it wasn't what you expect from BDS. You expect at least a top 4 in the first regional from BDS, and Quadrant is probably one of the teams you don't want to lose to in quarters. Like maybe if they lost to Moist in 7, or they lost to like K Corp in 7 or something like that, then maybe I'd actually still have them at number 1. But they didn't. They lost a brand new team. So that one hurts a lot more in my book.
I have, unfortunately, I didn't want to do this, but I do basically have the results of the major of the regional. So I have K Corp 2, Oxygen 1. Someone in my chat said we had K Corp too high on both of our lists. I feel like 4 is the lowest you could go with K Corp.
What? That's crazy to me.
But I think K Corp is going to be a beast if they can consistently get that beast going. They sometimes, I wrote in one of my notes one time, they kind of go dormant for a little while and they kind of do nothing. They play great defense or they play a good midfield, but they don't have like this super high pressure offense sometimes, and it just felt like they kind of sat back and rather just play defense. But when they were playing against Moist, that was when I was like, oh shit, like this team this is the level that I expect. And obviously, I think that match had a lot more than just a grand finals appearance on the line there, because obviously there's history there. So if they can harness whatever they did in that Moist series, they probably could have beaten Oxygen too. I think they played Oxygen fine. I think Oxygen just wasn't going to be beaten that day. So I have Oxygen 1 for now. I don't like putting Oxygen 1, but I also they just were so good across the board that it's really hard to not. Like, I couldn't think of a reason to not have Oxygen at 1. And I tried really freaking hard because I don't like just putting the newest team on the block to win at 1. Because I do agree with what you were saying when you had Oxygen at 4, that like I don't love the idea of just taking a new team and skyrocketing them at the top. But I think that Oxygen did enough. The only scuff that they have is losing to Algiri, which was a very strange matchup. If you watched it, it was very weird. But because Oxygen was like they lost like 4-1 in one of the games. Oxygen did to Algiri. So it was very weird. But that's the only little scuff. And honestly, because Algiri didn't go any further, it actually made it look worse for Oxygen. But we all, I think you and I both have acknowledged how good Algiri was. So at the end of the day, I don't think it was enough for me to knock down Oxygen. So they're 1 for now. I think it's a very flimsy 1 going into the future, because if another team comes out and has a day like Oxygen did, then I'm happy to put those two together and think about it. But I don't know. I think someone said in my chat that I do resonate with is like power rankings are recency bias. Like, if it's not recency bias, then it's going to be really hard to move any team up and down. You have to have a little bit of recency bias.
You got to be willing to move teams.